My name is Sophia Harrington, and I'm 29 years old. The day my brother Lucas and I both received our acceptance letters to Riverside Institute of Technology should have been the happiest day of my life. After all, we were both heading to a prestigious university. But that day became the moment I truly understood where I stood in my family. Lucas's acceptance was celebrated with champagne and applause. Mine barely got a passing mention. What they didn't know was that 4 years later, when I walked across that stage at graduation, I would make their faces pale with what I had accomplished, not because of them, but in spite of them. Before I dive into how my parents' favoritism shaped my life, let me ask you, have you ever felt overlooked by those who should have supported you the most? Drop a comment below if you've ever been in a similar situation, and don't forget to subscribe for more family drama stories. I grew up in a beautiful colonial house in the wealthy town of Silver Lake, just outside of the city. From the outside, we were the picture-perfect family. My father, Richard Harrington, was a successful corporate lawyer, and my mother, Diana, worked as a pediatrician in a prestigious private practice. We had the house, the vacations to exotic destinations, and every material possession anyone could want. But what no one saw was the imbalance beneath the surface, the favoritism that defined my childhood. My brother Lucas was born 2 years after me, and from the moment he could walk and talk, it was obvious he was the golden child. He was naturally athletic, always winning awards at school, and had that effortless charm that made everyone adore him. I, on the other hand, was quiet, introspective, and spent most of my time buried in books and research. It wasn't that my parents didn't love me, but Lucas's interests, sports, socializing, leadership roles were always more worthy of celebration. Meanwhile, my love for learning, my grades, and my extracurricular activities seemed to be an afterthought. When I was 8, my birthday was a small affair, just a few close friends, some cupcakes, and a little bit of streamers from my mom. But when Lucas turned 6, our backyard was transformed into a full-scale carnival. 3 bouncy castles, hired entertainers, and personalized party favors for every single kid in the neighborhood. It was a spectacle. When I asked why Lucas's party was so extravagant, my mother just patted my head and said, "Lucas needs more social interaction, sweetie. You're happy with just your close friends, right?" I didn't question it at the time, but looking back, it was a clear signal that I would never be the one they went all out for. And that pattern continued for years. As I got older, the favoritism became more apparent. I was constantly compared to Lucas, who, it seemed, could do no wrong. He was the outgoing, charismatic child, while I was the quiet, studious one who spent my time buried in textbooks and journals. I poured everything into my studies, hoping that one day my parents would see my worth. But the more I excelled academically, the less attention I received. While Lucas was celebrated for his athletic achievements, I was silently working toward my own goals, hoping to get the recognition I craved. When it was time for high school, Lucas was always the center of attention. He was captain of the soccer team, president of student government, and the one everyone talked about. And me? I was the quiet student who always got straight A's and joined clubs for the sake of enriching my knowledge, nothing to make me stand out. When I turned 16, I had the typical teenage birthday party, a few friends over, cake, music. But when Lucas turned 16, the entire neighborhood came to celebrate. My parents threw him a grand birthday bash, complete with a new car, a sleek black Jeep. The surprise video of his reaction went viral in our community. Everyone was so impressed. And of course, my parents were beaming with pride. As for me, I didn't get a car. Instead, I got a card with $100 and a note that read, "Toward your future car fund. We know you're responsible enough to handle it." That night, I went to work at my part-time job, taking on more shifts to save for my own car. A few months later, I managed to buy a used Honda Civic with the money I had saved. When I finally parked it in the driveway, the only comment from my father was, "Make sure you take care of it. It's your responsibility now." That's when I realized something. No matter how hard I worked, it seemed like Lucas would always get more. He was the one who received the praise, the material gifts, and the attention. It was like no matter what I did, I couldn't win. By the time I was in my senior year of high school, I had become accustomed to the idea that no matter how hard I tried, I'd never be the favorite. But I didn't let that stop me. Instead, I channeled my frustration into academics, pouring myself into my studies, extracurricular activities, and community service. I told myself that someday, I would prove my worth not to my parents, but to myself. It wasn't easy. I was determined to make it into a top-tier university, and despite the lack of support from my family, I worked tirelessly. My grades were impeccable. I was captain of the robotics team, and I founded a coding club to help young women in my community get into STEM fields. I was ready to show them that I was more than just the overlooked daughter. I wanted to prove to myself that I could succeed, no matter how little they believed in me. As the college application season approached, I felt the weight of my family's lack of support more than ever. While Lucas's application to Ivy League schools was practically an afterthought thanks to my parents' connections and financial support, mine was a battle. I couldn't afford expensive college consultants, and my parents had never bothered to set aside money for my education, but I wasn't about to let that stop me. I applied to the top universities in the country, Stanford, MIT, Harvard, and a few others, determined to put my best foot forward. I spent weeks refining my personal statement, writing about my experiences as an underdog, the challenges I faced, and how I had fought to excel despite being overlooked. I knew that my story had value, even if no one else saw it yet. I used the little money I had saved to pay for application fees and travel costs to attend interviews. I even worked overtime to fund it. My parents didn't ask about my application process. They didn't even know when I had interviews. They were too busy tracking Lucas's progress, pushing him to apply to schools that would be a good fit for his future, which really meant the ones that would further cement his future in their eyes. The day the acceptance letters started arriving was supposed to be one of the most exciting moments of my life. But when I logged into my email to check the results, my heart sank. I saw the congratulatory message from Stanford University, and I had to take a moment to breathe. I had done it, despite everything, despite their neglect, despite being told I wasn't worth investing in. I had been accepted into one of the most prestigious universities in the world. The relief washed over me in waves, but a part of me couldn't help but think of how different this moment felt from the celebrations Lucas had received for his own achievements. This wasn't about my parents' approval or validation. It was about me proving to myself that I was capable of anything. I kept the news to myself for a few days, wanting to savor the accomplishment quietly before sharing it. And then, I decided it was time. I told my parents about my acceptance to Stanford while we were having dinner. Their reaction was exactly what I expected. "Oh, that's wonderful, sweetie," my mother said, barely looking up from her plate. "Stanford, huh? Well, I guess you'll figure out how to pay for it, right? Your brother's scholarship options are looking good," my father added, still glued to his phone, presumably looking at Lucas's latest achievements. I swallowed my disappointment. The same indifference, the same lack of pride. It stung, but it also fueled me. I knew that everything I had achieved, I had done on my own. They hadn't been there to push me, to support me, or to cheer me on. And yet, I had done it. When I finally stepped onto Stanford's campus, it felt like a dream come true. I arrived with 2 suitcases, a modest scholarship, and a job at the campus library that helped cover my expenses. I quickly realized that I was in a completely different world than I was used to. Most of my classmates came from well-off families, their lives cushioned by years of generational wealth and connections. They didn't have to work part-time jobs or worry about where their next meal was coming from. I did, but I didn't let it stop me. I made the most of every opportunity I could find, and by the end of my freshman year, I had a 4.0 GPA and had already secured a research assistant position in a lab that focused on early cancer detection. It was during my sophomore year that things truly started to change. I was working in the lab late one evening when I met Professor Rachel Bennett, a leading researcher in biomedical engineering. She stopped by the lab to see our progress and took a keen interest in my work. I've never seen someone so committed to a project, she remarked. "You've got great potential, Sophia. Have you considered applying for a spot in my research lab? I think you'd be a perfect fit." Professor Bennett's words were a turning point. Finally, someone saw me for who I was, not just a hard-working student, but someone with true potential. She believed in me, even when my parents hadn't. She offered me a position in her lab, and I gladly accepted, knowing that it would be my chance to prove myself even further. As I worked closely with her, I developed a breakthrough bioengineering technology that had the potential to detect cancer at much earlier stages than current methods allowed. The technology was groundbreaking, and Professor Bennett saw the immense value in it. She encouraged me to apply for a prestigious fellowship that would allow me to continue my work. The next few months were a whirlwind of research, late nights, and pushing the limits of what I thought was possible. By my senior year, I had made significant advancements with the bioengineering technology, and the results were incredible. My work caught the attention of Medinova Corporation, one of the leading medical technology companies in the country. They offered me a multi-million-dollar partnership to further develop and commercialize the technology. That was the moment everything changed. I was no longer the overlooked daughter. I wasn't just making it on my own. I was on the verge of changing the world. As graduation day approached, I found myself torn between excitement and a simmering sense of apprehension. This day was supposed to be the culmination of everything I had worked for, everything I had endured. But more than that, it was the day I would finally stand in front of my parents, my family, and the world, and show them what I was truly capable of. I spent the week leading up to the ceremony with a nervous energy. Each email, each phone call from my parents, was met with my calm and collected responses. They didn't know the full extent of what was coming. To them, graduation would be just another day to praise Lucas's academic achievements, another moment to congratulate him for being the golden child. But I had other plans. It was my turn to take center stage, to show them that I wasn't just some quiet, overlooked daughter who could be dismissed. I was determined to make them realize that my journey, my success, was not just a result of my hard work, but a testament to everything they had failed to see in me. I had achieved this without them, without their support, and I would show them that their lack of faith in me was a mistake they would now have to reckon with. On the day of the graduation ceremony, I dressed carefully, choosing an outfit that made me feel both powerful and proud. I put on a sleek, tailored suit under my academic gown, a visual representation of my accomplishments, something to symbolize the journey I had been on. When I entered the auditorium, I could feel my heart beating faster with each step. My parents were already seated, chatting and laughing with people around them, blissfully unaware of the storm about to hit. They were focused on Lucas, as usual, eager to see him in his business school ceremony, proud of his future career prospects. I took my seat among my fellow graduates, and for the first time, I allowed myself to truly feel the weight of everything I had achieved. The applause for the other graduates was routine, polite, expected, but I knew that the recognition I was about to receive was anything but ordinary. Finally, it was my turn, the moment I had been waiting for. The spotlight was on me as I walked to the podium. I could see my parents' eyes shift toward me, a flicker of confusion in their gaze. They hadn't expected this. They hadn't anticipated that I would be the one called up, that I would be the one standing at the center of the ceremony. President Parker stepped up beside me, her voice booming as she introduced me to the audience. "Sophia Harrington is graduating today with highest honors in biomedical engineering. But her achievements go far beyond just academic excellence. Her innovative breakthrough in early cancer detection has the potential to change lives across the world. This research, developed by Sophia as an undergraduate, is one of the most significant advancements in the medical field in years." The crowd erupted into applause. I stood still, my heart pounding in my chest as I looked out at the sea of faces. I didn't just see the crowd in front of me, I saw the faces of my parents. Their confusion was shifting to something else now. Was it surprise? Maybe guilt? Or was it just the realization of how wrong they had been about me? When President Parker finished speaking, she gestured to me. "Sophia, please, share a few words with us." I stepped up to the microphone, feeling the gravity of the moment. This wasn't just about thanking the people who had helped me along the way, it was about acknowledging the years of pain and rejection, the overlooked achievements, and the endless hours of hard work that no one had cared to recognize. "Thank you, President Parker," I began, keeping my voice steady, though my emotions swirled. For years, I've been told by those closest to me that I wasn't enough, that my path wasn't the one that mattered. My family's support was always focused on my brother, Lucas, on his achievements, his future, while mine were either ignored or dismissed. I paused, allowing my words to sink in, particularly to my parents, sitting just a few rows back. I could feel their eyes on me now. For once, they weren't the only ones with the power in the room. 4 years ago, I came to this university with nothing but determination and the belief that my work could matter, even if no one else saw it. I worked multiple jobs, struggled with finances, and faced numerous obstacles without any support from the people I should have been able to rely on. But in the end, I proved to myself that I could do it. And today, my research has the potential to save lives. I glanced down at my parents, catching their stunned expressions. They were no longer able to hide from the truth. It wasn't just the groundbreaking bioengineering technology I had created, it was everything I had endured to get here. My worth had always been more than they had ever allowed me to believe. I share this not for sympathy, but as a reminder that perseverance in the face of doubt is what allows us to break through the barriers others try to impose on us. I am here today because I refused to let anyone define what I could achieve. The room was filled with applause, but for me, it felt like a strange, surreal echo. As I made my way back to my seat, my parents' faces were a mixture of shock and realization. They couldn't believe it, couldn't believe how far I had come without their support. The ceremony continued, but the significance of what had just happened didn't fade for me. This was the moment my family finally understood the depth of my achievements. But even as I crossed the stage to receive my diploma, I couldn't help but wonder what would happen next. After the ceremony, I was inundated with congratulations and praise from professors, classmates, and colleagues. But it was my parents' presence that felt the most surreal. They approached me cautiously, as if unsure of how to navigate the sudden shift in our dynamic. "Well, Sophia, that was certainly a surprise," my mother said, her voice wavering slightly. "We didn't know you had been doing this kind of work. Why didn't you tell us?" My father asked, his tone defensive, though it lacked its usual authority. I looked at them both. For years, I had craved their approval, their recognition. But today, I wasn't seeking their validation. I had learned to define my own worth. "You didn't want to know," I said, my voice calm but firm. "You never cared about what I was doing unless it fit into your plans. You pushed me aside, but I kept going. And now you're surprised? You shouldn't be. I've always been capable. Even if you didn't think so." They fell silent, their expressions unreadable. For a moment, I considered walking away, leaving them to process the reality of their treatment of me. But instead, I stood there, letting them realize the truth. The silence between us stretched out. My parents stood there, unsure of what to say, their faces a mixture of guilt and disbelief. They were clearly grappling with the realization that their years of dismissing my achievements, of always prioritizing Lucas, had led to this moment. But I wasn't looking for an apology, at least not a hollow one. I needed something more than empty words. "I don't need you to tell me you're proud of me now," I continued, my voice steady but firm. "What I needed, all those years, was for you to see me, to believe in me, not just when I succeeded, but when I was struggling, to support me in the same way you've always supported Lucas." My father, for the first time in my life, seemed to truly understand the weight of his actions. He shifted uncomfortably, clearly battling with his emotions. My mother stood frozen, unsure of how to handle the reality of our fractured relationship. "I never meant to hurt you, Sophia," my mother said, her voice trembling. "I just thought you were doing fine on your own. You didn't need us." I shook my head, my emotions threatening to spill over, but I kept them in check. "You were wrong. I needed you. And not just when it was convenient for you. It's not about the money," or the awards, or the success. It's about being seen, being recognized. My father took a deep breath, looking down for a moment before meeting my gaze. "You're right," he said, his voice low. "We failed you. We were so focused on Lucas, on his potential, that we didn't see the brilliance in you, the drive, the heart. I don't know what to say other than I'm sorry. The words weren't perfect, and they didn't erase the years of favoritism, but they were the beginning of something new. I didn't need them to completely understand everything I had gone through, but this was a step, a real one. I'm sorry, too," my mother said quietly, her eyes filled with regret. "I should have been there for you more. I see that now. For the first time, I felt something that resembled healing. It wasn't forgiveness, it wasn't even closure, but it was a foundation. I'll be honest," I said, swallowing hard. "I don't know if I can forgive you yet, but I'm willing to try. And maybe, just maybe, we can build something better. But it's going to take time." They nodded, understanding the gravity of the moment. Lucas, who had been quietly standing off to the side, stepped forward. "Sophie," he hesitated, then placed a hand on my shoulder. "I've always been proud of you, and I'm sorry it took me so long to tell you that." His words, though small, meant the world to me. We had always been caught in the web of our parents' expectations, but in that moment, I saw my brother as someone who had struggled, too, just in a different way. As the conversation ended, my parents and Lucas walked away to join some friends and colleagues. I lingered for a moment, standing alone in the bustling crowd of graduates. For the first time in years, I felt a strange sense of peace. I wasn't carrying the weight of their disappointment anymore. I was free. As you can see, sometimes the most powerful revenge is not about confronting those who wronged you, but showing them and yourself what you're truly capable of. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video to keep up with more stories. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever been underestimated or overlooked? How did you handle it? Drop a comment below and share your experience. Thanks for watching, and remember, your story is just beginning. See you in the next video.